Hello,
Hello.
everyone. Welcome to the Winter Solstice self-guided inquiry discussion today. We're doing a check-in before we start, and we're excited to share this with you today. Here in Evansville, Indiana, where we're at currently, winter hasn't quite begun yet, and we were actually just talking this morning as we had breakfast about the fact that it looks like snow might be on the way, and it might actually start feeling really specifically like winter. So
At the start of winter.
yeah, at the start of winter, so it's really approaching, and we can really feel it. So yeah, we're excited to share these resources with you. We put together these guides on a quarterly basis. And sometimes it's nice. We have the downloads that are available for anybody to download and work on together with their friends or family or individually. But we sometimes we like to just sit down and go through them, and it helps, to go through these things together and talk about why we put it together and what we do and share some of our stories. So
Yeah, and for some of the summer solstice guide that we did earlier this year, we did an online gathering after we'd already produced the document and the summer solstice had passed. And so for this one, we wanted to just do a virtual gathering to talk about the upcoming solstice, so that way there was at least a resource to listen to or to watch to kind of learn more about how to use the guide, and also to know that you don't have to do it on the actual solstice itself. This work is really beneficial and useful no matter what time of year. While we do recommend aligning it with the seasons, it can be done anytime. So
yeah, sometimes the solstice 4 times a year is just a good excuse if you stray from your regular practice, or if it's hard to stay motivated having those goals or those times throughout the year where
those
you can
natural
sit down and
checkpoints.
yeah, when the seasons are naturally changing. So yeah.
All right, you ready?
Yeah, let's dig in.
All right, so we're going to share our screen here, and what we have pulled up is the guide itself. So if you're in the elemental community, when you go to your homepage, you'll see this document in the products list. If you're not in the community and you want to download, we also have this available on the offerings page for our website. So you can go there and you can just type in your email address, and it's just a quick PDF download. So
yeah, and one little thing to note about these guides, we really enjoy putting these guides together just visually, and we're both creative people. I have a graphic design background, so it's really fun to be able to share these things with you, and especially with our mobile lifestyle and the way that we engage with the world. It's fun to actually share little bits and pieces of ourselves in the background of these. So we might have some fun just reminiscing some of these photos. This is one of our sacred spaces in Henderson, Kentucky. We actually note that in all of our guides. Usually if there's a photo, we'll put the location so you can kind of be there with us. And
if you ever see them and see the photos and you're like, oh my gosh, I want to go there, or I want to see this photo with full color, let us know, and we'd be happy to share it, because these, like Matt said, these are sacred spaces to us and we love to share.
Yeah. This is actually Audubon State Park in Henderson, Kentucky, and it's a really sacred space for us, and a place where we go to connect to ourselves and to run and to hike. And we spent a large part of our day last year at the winter solstice in this particular place. So
yeah. And something else to note before we dive into this guide is we had allocated 1 hour for this, and we will cut off at 1 hour if we're not done already. But if we finish before that, we'll end. I imagine it might be closer to 45 minutes when it's all said and done. So just having that in mind. And while we're going through this, just if you need to pause and go make yourself a coffee or a hot tea. I have a ginger turmeric tea right now, and Matt has
Bengal.
It's a spice tea that one of our dear friends, Sweet Beth Ann, shared with us last week. And so take this time, make yourself a drink, get cozy, and then we'll dive in.
Yeah, let it cool off first. All right.
All right, friend, you ready?
Yeah, let's dive in. Yeah, so the first page in the document is a welcome, and so we just want to state, winter solstice, the official start of winter and the shortest day of the year, and each each solstice and equinox are important because they are an energetic transition for all of nature and all of the world. In different parts of the world, it's very different, but it's a transition nonetheless. And so these transition times are times for us to reflect on what's working and what's not working for us. We really like to take this intentional pause and reset before starting our new season, and to just think about how we want to be in these new seasons. So again, we welcome you all here, as we're going to do this right along with our community and with everyone else who's doing this. So yeah.
Right. Yeah, so why we're here, this is, and we'll read through a little bit of this and then kind of share some personal stories about, our why. But through Elemental, we work to uncover your true elemental nature, which is the elements that make you, you. And, again, this seasonal transition, this mark of fall changing to winter, winter changing to spring, these are just really good times to examine like how you are, how you move, how you want to move, how you want to be, and setting aside that space to discover what that is. So this core elemental nature evolves over time and responds to the world differently in each season. This can include anything from the foods you eat, the exercises you do, the type of work you engage in. In the winter, we find that we seek out more rest, while in the summer, we tend to be more active and initiative taking. All of this still falls within our elemental nature. It simply flows differently in each season. So when we take the time to intentionally check in with how we feel within each season, it creates space for us to be compassionate with ourselves instead of feeling like we should be doing this or should be doing that. And it gives us permission to change course instead of doing the same things that aren't serving us. Likewise, it gives us permission to continue doing the things that are serving us. And those things are important to celebrate. So I know for me, one great example is, and this could be later in the guide, and if it is, we'll skip it next time. But for me, in my personal practice, this is easily relatable with yoga. So I practice yoga. Matt and I practice yoga year round. But in the winter time, whenever we're engaging in our own self practices, and even one of the ritual practices that we do with a local instructor, mentor, friend, Mark from Evansville Power Yoga, his yoga courses are taught in a way that kind of slow us down. It focuses on that hibernation piece that, because we do the classes at 6 a.m. And so when I'm waking up, my body feels much different at 6 a.m. in the wintertime when it's cold outside than it does in the summertime when it's warm outside. I'm not as ready to move. I'm not as ready to get that like heat from the flow of the poses. Warrior poses are a lot more difficult in the winter, I find. And so I'm still doing yoga. The practice just looks differently. It has a different intention and it serves a different purpose. So yeah.
And even for me, I'm a very warm natured person, and while I can tolerate cold, I think and actually like to feel the cold. And even sometimes it looks for me, thinking about like with even like how I access the cold, like I like to slow down a little bit, like in the wintertime, but I also like to feel the cold, you know what I mean, and feel it on myself, and I get invigorated by it. And sometimes it leads me to be more active at certain times, but then whenever I come back and it's time to relax and to rest, I like to do it in a much different way than I do in the summertime, So it's just being aware of those things, that sometimes even for me, there's although I do like to slow down and rest, there's also kind of an invigorating nature to the cold that's powerful for me, that kind of seems counterintuitive.
Yeah. So as you're doing this too, we'll encourage you to think about why you're here. Why is this work drawn to you? Why are you drawn to it? And just keeping that why.
Yeah. And if you're a winter person, if you're a person who kind of like says, I love the winter, I love the fall, why is it that you love that? And maybe perhaps even more importantly, if you're a person that doesn't love the winter, maybe thinking about that, maybe meditating on that, and kind of like and sometimes it can open doors to, or just a self-understanding of maybe embracing the winter in a much different way, or being much more intentional about your reasonings for like needing something different in that time, and how do you react. So why is a very important part to us. Is why we dedicate a whole page to it.
All right, so this inquiry is centered around intentionality of being, finding joy in your daily disciplines, creating daily rituals, and finding natural movement.
Mm,
So we do this through yoga and meditation, preparing and eating food, journaling, and reflection. And
mhm,
when we say we do this through these things, we're talking specifically about this winter self-guided inquiry.
mhm,
So what you'll need is a yoga mat, a journal, something to write with, ingredients for food prep, and anything else that you end up finding that you need to complete the activities that you decide to do for your solstice.
mhm,
So on the right hand side of this document, we kind of go through how and when to do this, right? So while the solstice does fall on a specific date each year, you can do this anytime.
mhm,
And this guide is an entire day. Sometimes our guides are a day and a little bit more just for the preparation, but you can pick and choose what parts of it that you want to do.
mhm,
Because if you want to do something to intentionally reset specifically on the winter solstice, December 21st, and you maybe only have an hour that day, take that hour, make it yours. Use this guide to find ideas for what flows for you. You
mhm,
simply might take a 30-minute yoga practice from it. You might like the journaling questions. You might want to do a meal for yourself.
mhm,
And whatever that looks like, it's the intentionality behind
mhm,
it that matters, that can help you reset
mhm.
and think about how you want to be in the days moving forward.
Yeah, and we do put this guide together in some ways as a to liberate our community and liberate people around us from the overwhelm of having to create something like this for themselves, right? So while we do believe in the power of if you can, of taking a full day and actually going through all of the exercises, in his is definitely very powerful. The last thing we want, it's we mentioned finding joy in the daily
Mhm.
disciplines. That joy is like so critical, right? Because it's something that brings you joy, something that you feel meaningful to you, something that you feel is really like important for you. You're going to do it, and you're going to do it because you want to, not because you feel like you have to. So it's so important that if finding the joy in it means you do it on a different day, or you do it, you know, at a time when it works for you, like pick a time that works for you, and share with us, you know.
Yeah.
We'll say that throughout this, because it's so important to heal and grow in community, right? We definitely need to have our time to ourselves. We definitely need to have that solitude. But we're missing a big component if we're not doing it in community, and especially if you don't feel a lack of community and support and doing things for yourself and taking care of yourself and doing the things that you need and doing the things that bring you alive. We're here for you, and we want to be that space for you to be able to share what you're doing and bring and come alive within those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Matt.
Hmm.
All right. So this is where we'll start the work here. And you'll notice on the left-hand side of the screen, we have your self-guided winter solstice inquiry. You can write down the date that you're doing this, and whatever date you choose, if it doesn't happen to be the solstice itself, and regardless if it is a solstice itself, writing down the sunrise time and the sunset time just to help you get familiar with and move in alignment with when the sun is rising, when it's setting, what your daylight
Mm,
hours are, planning your activities and everything like that.
mm,
Um, so in the afternoon or evening prior, we recommend doing this portion. So writing down the date, sunrise, sunset, finding all the things that you're going to need for the day of your inquiry. That way you're not having to plan or find anything. It's all just
mm,
going to flow, because you're going to have set yourself up for success in that regard. Prepare, we have here finding your food ingredients, starting with the journal exercise. We recommend preparing within the space that you'll spend your time the following day, lighting a candle or incense, turning on background music, preparing your favorite beverage to get started. So kind of knowing what that's going to look like for you. And then we have a list of items to gather. So this PDF, the document, your journal, something to write with, or if you wanted to print this and write on this document, there'll be plenty of spaces in the
mm,
pages to follow. Selecting a recipe for the night of your self-guided inquiry. We like to pick recipes that are usually warm foods.
mm,
I think last year we did a soup. We haven't selected what we're doing for this year,
mm,
but I have a feeling it's going to have something to do with like root vegetables,
mm,
warm cooked root vegetables that are grounding and connecting to the earth. So whatever works for you, find something that feels right, that is going to nourish you, most
mm,
importantly. Um, yeah, so getting your ingredients, designate space for your morning yoga practice if you're going to do that. We'll be sending out a video of a sun salutation practice. It'll probably be between, I don't know, 20 to 30 minutes long, and you're welcome to use that to guide you through a practice if you'd like. Or there's a lot of different options online for free and even some paid yoga courses that you can download.
Yeah, and for this yoga practice too, and we'll talk about, you don't need a lot of space. Like, like we can do, we live part-time and transitioning to full-time in a van, and are able to do a basic simple fundamental yoga practice in a van. So don't think you can even do it right beside your bed, or like in your living room in a small spot.
Yeah, in your yoga practice, it doesn't have to be anything specific. You can do maybe 3 poses that make you feel rested, restored, and that feel good. So this can, the key here is to find things that work for you.
Yeah.
What we're suggesting are only starting points and something that we believe is foundational, but there are many ways to accomplish that. So the next thing on the list after the yoga practice, deciding on your afternoon session activity. So we like to go out in nature for the afternoon, and no matter what the weather is like as well.
Right.
Like if it's freezing, we'll go. If it's warm, we'll go. Precipitation, we'll go. You can do a second yoga practice, walk, go for a hike, anything that brings you alive, any activity that you want to do. And it can be something indoors if you want it to be. It's, again, this is you moving, feeling what your body needs and doing it. And then also setting your start times for the morning, afternoon, and evening sessions on the following pages is going to be really helpful to give you a little bit of structure for you to flow within throughout the rest of the day. So this is a journal prompt that you can do the evening before your self-guided inquiry. And it's that question: why did you decide to complete this? And what intentions are you bringing to begin your work with? And what outcomes do you wish to see as a result of your work? All of the guides that we produce, all of the work that we do, whether it's with coaching or our retreats, all of our journal prompts are meant to be just that, a prompt. So those are the questions we encourage you to answer. But if you don't maybe have an answer for one or any of them, that is okay. This is just to kind of get things flowing. If another question comes to you that's similar to this, that you feel inclined to write about, do that. Go where you naturally flow.
Yeah, and we might draw attention to why did you decide to complete a self-guided inquiry. Sometimes the most basic of questions can result in, when taken intentionally and seriously, the biggest, most powerful answers. And you might surprise yourself if you really, really actually allow yourself to think about why you wanted to do this or why you're here. Might be very revealing and beautiful and transformational for you. So sometimes even the most simple questions that seem like, well, why would I even, I'm just doing it, why am I here? If thinking about that and writing that down, something really amazing could emerge for you.
Yeah. And with the journal prompts and the journaling exercises, this one and the ones to follow, let yourself be free in how you answer it. If the answer comes to you in a bullet list, go with the bullet list. If it comes to you in a narrative, it comes to you in a poem, however it comes is how it is meant to be. There are no requirements on the length of what you write. You can write one sentence and that's your answer and be done. Or you could be more like Matt and I and write maybe like 3 pages and then go back and find maybe like a couple of lines that are like the actual like core of the answer. So no wrong way to do this. The only way to do this is how you do it. So all right. We also have creating a mantra for the night prior to whenever you're doing the self-guided work. So this mantra, this is an encouraging note to yourself, right? It's deciding on something that empowers you the most. So we have these lines that are on the guide, and you can just write a bunch of different like ideas that come and just kind of thought stream. And then whenever you find one that really resonates with you, one that you want to carry with you, you can write it down in this bigger box here at the bottom of the page. And then we recommend reading your mantra 5 times first thing in the morning and throughout the day as needed. And this could be a mantra that you carry with you after this guide as well. I know my mantra right now that I've been working with and then I will likely carry into this self-guided inquiry is that I am lovable. It's been something that I've been working on with my therapist, my coach, my with Matt, and that is serving me right now. And I say it multiple times a day. And so that's the idea. What do you need?
Mm.
What do you need? What's going to guide you
Mm.
through this and through each day?
Yeah, and just to share, my current mantra has just shifted from giving and receiving has been my mantra, is to remind myself to that in order to give you have to receive, and really focusing on the receiving part. I've a hard time receiving things sometimes, and I'm getting better at it, but I really want to remind myself of that. And then just recently with our prior mastermind, if you've seen that, on being a yes and the power of yes, I'm transitioning my mantra into just simply yes. And for me, sometimes I like to carry that mantra into my my physical activity, right? So whenever I, as a runner, a hiker, when I'm doing something, sometimes I can really get into that meditative state by just, with my stride, just repeating the mantra to myself. And so yeah, a mantra can be absolutely anything. It doesn't have to look like anything. It'd be one word. It needs to be something simple so that you can like memorize it and carry it with you, but it can look like anything. So don't limit yourself.
Yeah. And again, your mantra may not come to you when you sit down to do it, but be open to letting it find you when it does, because it might be something right now that you write down, and then maybe when you're going through this guided work, or maybe you're just out in the world living your life, something else comes to you and you can change it. So
yeah. And one other thing that just came to me as I'm sitting here thinking about this too, is that the different, like when my mantra of giving and receiving, right? Receiving was something that I felt like I needed to work on, like in a sense, and maybe so there is maybe a slightly negative component to that, realizing that maybe I need to be better at that. So it's like something I want to keep in mind. But then I think shifting to a yes for me was just a more like just positivity and allowance and flow. So your mantra doesn't always doesn't have to be positive or negative or anything like that. It's just just let it come to you. What do you need to remind yourself of?
And Matt, you just made me think of something else about you saying that receiving maybe felt that way to you. I think it was also like your way of manifesting, wanting to be in that space. So that can also, whatever you write, it doesn't have to be something that you necessarily believe right now. It doesn't have to be something, it can be anything that you envision yourself being. Something that you want to become, something, the person maybe that you already are, and or something like that. So keep that in mind too when you think of that. And we'll share our notes on manifestation another time. So we've just been going there. All right. So this is for your morning. So you can write your start time down in here. And it says reserve 2 to 3 hours for your morning session. One thing we like to do is maintain space for flexibility with schedules. So that way you might wake up and you might, kind of go through everything a little quicker than you thought. And so you just have a little bit of found time, and you can do whatever you need or want with that time. So begin your yoga practice by reading your mantra and keep it with you throughout the day. Once you've completed the yoga practice, we recommend moving on to a coffee or a hot tea and going through the journal prompts on the following pages. And when you've completed the journal prompts, you can take a break before beginning your afternoon session. And please note, the only meal that we've scheduled for preparation is your evening meal. So we encourage you to eat throughout the day as you need to, and finding foods that feel nourishing and uplifting to you. So, and that could even be maybe scheduling lunch with a friend or person that you just absolutely love, that brings you alive, and going to a restaurant that you absolutely love, eating foods that make you feel so good. It can look like anything. So, but we would advise to just plan that in advance.
Right.
If you can.
Yeah.
If you want.
Yeah. Take some of the pressure off.
Yeah. And as far as the beverage, our go-to is coffee, but if you prefer like hot tea or lemon water is really good and cleansing.
Or cacao
is one that we've been very heart opening, very energetically opening. The main objective is just to prepare something that brings you joy while you complete your journal prompts.
And even about cacao, it's got very little caffeine in it, but it's an energizing drink, but doesn't have the same effects of caffeine. So if you're someone that wants to drink something to feel more energy, and sometimes in the winter that's what we need, cacao, and you don't have to drink cacao straight. You can put it in a beverage or in a cereal or on the food that you eat and get a little bit of that heart opening, energizing quality without
Mhm.
the sometimes harmful or negative side effects of caffeine. Yeah,
Yeah.
if you're sensitive to that.
Yeah. And then a little bit more about the wake up yoga practice. So we always do 21 sun salutations. This year we've actually modified. I think we're doing a sound bath because there's a local sound bath happening. And so that's going to fit nicely into the time that we have allocated. And so
Mhm.
we'll probably do our 21 sun salutations at a different time. So
Mm.
we're even modifying the guide that we've created just to flow and
Mhm.
do what works well for us. But we'll we have a sun salutation A guide on the following page. And then we'll also, like I said, provide a video that will be on YouTube, and we'll also put it in the community platform as well.
Yeah, and if I could just share a quick experience, even that we had last year with doing our sun salutations,
Mm.
we did them outdoors, and it was hovering, and it was in the
It
20s,
was like 26 degrees.
26 degrees, and we bundled up and did a short hike and went out into overlooking a lake at Audubon State Park, which we were talking about, and did our sun salutations. And halfway through them, you get our fingers were numb and toes, and but it was such a that cold and those elements really kind of like focused us and made us aware and alive and feel connected to ourselves in a way that was really special and memorable, and that really made it for us. So sometimes doing something a little uncomfortable or a little out of your comfort zone, or embracing the elements, can be a beautiful thing. It's not a necessary thing, but just thought we'd share that experience
Yeah.
from last year. It was a
Yeah.
beautiful experience.
And I just noticed the document that I'm using appears to be a draft, but the updated final one is on our site to download, because we have there's not a link to download a yoga practice here. And then I have link Indigo list. We have some Spotify playlists,
Yeah.
and they won't be called Indigo. They just happen to be ones that we curated for our retreat at Indigo.
Mhm.
And you'll find those in the document that you'll be able to download,
Yeah.
or that you may have already downloaded. And
Yeah.
for yoga, music is a very personal preference. I often don't listen to music, but sometimes I want to.
Mhm.
Sometimes I just want instrumental. Sometimes I want to hear words. And so we have some different options that will be available for you.
Yeah, one of them is an instrumental silence session, and the other
Yeah.
one's a musical
Musical
flow.
flow.
Those are the
Yeah.
two on Spotify. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. There it is.
Yeah.
All right.
And if you're on a different platform, like and can't follow these links, we can even share contact us, and we can even share some of the music that we have on these lists. If you're using Apple or
Yeah.
something like that, we can help you find something similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So it's 10:27
All right.
Central Time,
All
Central
right.
Standard. All
All
right.
right.
Here's the guide here. You can print this and use it. But again, when we do the video, this will be what we follow. And sun salutation A is important because it's a very foundational, simple, energetically greeting type of flow. What were you going to say?
Well, I was just going to say, because Leslie's a yoga instructor, and I'm not, and I'm new to yoga, but I'm at a stage where I'm actually, things are starting to click for me, but I'm still very new at it. And the important thing is that, like, we have this guide here so you can see how to do it, but the important thing is to be kind to yourself when you're doing these practices. That if you've never done yoga before, don't get caught up in having to do everything exactly the way it looks and like making it perfect. The important thing is like to go through the motions intentionally, like, so just try to relax into it and surrender to the movements, and don't get hung up on perfection.
Yeah.
Right, the important thing is to do it.
Yeah. All right, so then we have the journal prompts, so you can read through these and use the spaces here to fill it out, write in your journal. And all of these questions are centered around thinking about what you need in the months to come, the days and months to come. So all right, so afternoon start time, you can write that down here. Reserving 2 to 3 hours for your afternoon session. This session is about setting intentions and creating a plan of action for the next 3 months. So we'll start with a reflection and journal prompts, and then finish the afternoon with movement to get the blood flowing and re-energize the body.
Mm-hmm.
So reflecting on your morning journaling, we have a space here to write 3 specific habits or actions that you'll implement to start what you envision. So for example, if you said that you want to start going for a walk once a day to feel more energized, 3 habits could be waking up 30 minutes earlier, setting out walking clothes before bed, drinking a smoothie after each walk for a nutrient boost. So that one's more of kind of like that reward mindset, right? Something to look forward to after you've done the thing that you're wanting to do, which would be the walk. So anything that you wrote down from your morning journaling session, looking through what those are and being realistic about what you can actually do moving forward to support that.
Mm.
And the important thing is too, is creating the habits and building trust with yourself by following through on those things each day.
Mm.
And as you get to doing this, you can always come back and refine, because you might wake up 30 minutes earlier each day and then find like, I'm getting up 30 minutes earlier and going for this walk, but I'm not getting enough sleep now. And I feel more tired throughout the day. So maybe you need to modify and do something different.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So journal prompt here. What parts of your day do you hold sacred? And this is really geared to help you figure out what times of day you want to implement those new habits.
Mm-hmm.
So, and again, there's no right or wrong answers here. It's just what works for you and doing that thing.
Yeah.
So then movement. This is the time where you'll just go do whatever it is that's going to bring you alive. You can do a silent hike, yoga outdoors, go for a walk or run, any kind of movement that feels good to you that's outside, even if it's raining. Notice how it makes you feel. And you can use this space here. Just take notes in your journal after you're done. And I know I'd mentioned earlier, you can do something indoors as well. If that's what flows and that's what you need to do that. We love going outside and being in the elements, as you can imagine, but do what feels right for you.
Yeah, last year, just to share what we were in, we also were at Audubon and carried weighted backpacks and did a hike with weight, a silent hike with weight. And there's something about like carrying that pack and that weight that brings like intention. It brings like your focus. And then doing it silently allows you to open up to everything that's happening around you and be more present, and creates a beautiful intentional experience. So but do whatever works for you. Be creative if you want to, or do that thing that you just love to do, or that you've been meaning to do. Yeah.
All right, and then evening. So reserving 2 to 3 hours for your evening session. This session is meant to rest, enjoy, and reflect on the day that you've completed and the days that are coming ahead. So everything that we recommend is with the intention to pay attention to the daily disciplines. So we have access to the joy in our daily tasks anytime, noticing the sounds that you hear, smells that you smell, the way the food feels as you prepare it, and how it tastes while you eat. So something we haven't defined until now are what we're talking about when we say daily disciplines. So we view those things in life that you like, quote unquote, have to do, like dishes, cooking, laundry, I don't know, what are there, like, I guess like chores, like what people would typically consider chores, we call daily disciplines, because there can be joy found in the simplicity of those tasks. And there can be joy in recognizing the aliveness of being able to prepare food and cleaning up your dishes. And, you know, one of the things that we talk about too in our work, and I think we have it listed right here, is using dishes and utensils that bring you joy, you know? So we strategically have dishes that are ours, that we've collected over time, that we love. And so when we're eating food on a plate that has a memory or a story, that can bring us joy. When we're cleaning it, there's this like beauty in cleaning the dish, you know, and not every time you do dishes that we do dishes is like this meditative, like enlightening experience.
But if you have soap that you love the smell of, that can, you know, if you make it a sensory experience, if you enjoy the feeling of the water, you know, or the sound of the water, or the feel of it on your hands, or the smell of the soap, or that there's so many ways that you can make these subtle little things, you know, that can take a mundane experience and turn it into something sensual. And so that you can feel, hear, you know, taste, touch. And those are slowing down is one of the ways to really kind of appreciate the sensuality of the different things that you're doing. Yeah.
So that's what we're talking about when we say daily disciplines. And so for the evening, right, you can prepare this meal in a quiet space by yourself. You can prepare it with a friend, a partner. You can do it in silence. You can do it with talking. although we do have in here, we recommend doing it in silence, which we do. But if you want to talk, that's fine too.
Yeah, the silence is very powerful, even if you're just, even and especially if you're doing it with someone else, is that we've found that it sort of creates space for you to communicate in a different way, and to kind of like have this sort of like independence at the same time that you're working together, and it kind of forces that a different kind of communication, which is can be very, very maybe awkward sometimes at first, but very nice when you surrender to it.
Yeah. And so we have our tips here to make your meal more enjoyable: lighting candles, playing background music, using dishes, utensils that bring you joy, having fresh flowers or a centerpiece that you love on the table, hand washing your dishes. We're big on lighting.
Yeah, lighting is so important.
Like there's something really calming about using warm lighting. And having candles, there's just the like engaging the senses, like Matt was talking about, is just so important. So.
Yeah, like dim, warm yellow light, is so healing and more natural, especially in the evening. So
so then to conclude the evening, we invite you to join us for a meditation, or if the time has passed and the live meditation has already been posted, to download the live meditation that we'll be doing on December 21st, just to kind of end your evening. I know doing guided meditations can be really helpful to stay kind of in that meditative space. For me, I know that if I'm just meditating on my own without guidance, without listening to anything, I can sometimes just think the whole time. And so we invite you to do that. And again, the document I have on the screen, if you're looking at this, is incorrect, but we have on the correct document, I believe there's a link to join live. And then
Wednesday, December 22nd, 7 p.m.
21st.
Or 21st. I was looking at the 2022. Yeah. 21st. Yeah.
Yep. So we'll have that. Let's see what else we have on here. All right. So this is the that's still a draft, so we'll back up on that one. But in conclusion, it's just, thank you for being here. And if this resonated with you, if you found some part of this that brought you joy that you were able to use, share that with us. We would love to know about it. Share it with a friend, with a family member, with someone else that you think might enjoy it. And if you're not in the elemental community already, elemental community members will have access to any of these like live sessions that we do, meditations, the PDF downloads. If you would prefer not to join the community and just come on a one-on-one basis, you're welcome to do that too. A lot of this work, specifically this self-guided inquiry, I'll stop sharing my screen now. But a lot of this work, the self-guided inquiry, these workbooks, this follows a lot of our style for the guided discovery coaching that we do and all the retreats that we host. So we're really excited to launch ticket sales for our first in-person retreat of 2023 on the winter solstice this year. So if you're seeing this in time, we'll have tickets for sale at the pre-rate price from December 21st to December 31st. The retreat is going to be held in New Harmony, Indiana on February 10th through 12th, 9th through 11th. Let me look real quick as we're doing this.
I think it's
it's the 10th through 12th.
Yeah,
10th through 12th, Friday, February 10th, Monday, February 12th. Thank you for being with me on that, you all. But we'll be announcing that. And then over the coming weeks, we'll be announcing some more retreats that we have. We'll have a 2-day virtual retreat coming up in March that we're incredibly excited about, because we know that it's hard to travel sometimes to get to these in-person retreats. And that one will be a little bit different because we won't have as many workbooks. It'll be more of speakers and people sharing their experiences and finding different ways to kind of bring that aliveness to your life. But if the time has passed and you want to look for retreats, we're going to continue offering retreats, so you can see what those are on the Elemental website under Inner Ground Retreats. Community members do receive 10% off of coaching and retreats, even for the pre-sale tickets. So if you are a community member and you want access to one of those, let us know. We'll get you the code that you need to sign up. If you have any thoughts, questions, anything, please
Yeah.
don't hesitate to reach out.
And joining the community is free, and it gives you
Oh, yeah.
access to everything that we do. So we don't send out a lot of messages. In fact, yeah, we're overly cautious about sending too many messages. So
We do send one
yeah.
reflection a month, and then you get
Hmm.
notified each time before a program starts in case you're free and want to join.
Hmm.
And then otherwise, we'll send out some updates on offerings just to make sure you know when retreats are getting launched and what new offerings that we have available.
Hmm.
We have some really exciting news we'll be sharing over the next couple of months that's in the works.
Hmm.
So community members will be the first to know.
And it makes it
Yeah.
easy for us to communicate with you, and that's important with us, is to hear from our community and to share and to grow together and to create those spaces. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's everything.
Yeah.
Enjoy. And if you feel so compelled, let us know how this flows for you.
Hmm.
And we would love to hear.
Yeah.
So we'll be in touch and we'll talk with you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.